Hello and welcome to the Ruby Shoes podcast, delivering the very best local entertainment news across East Anglia. This week we've got an interview with the founder of a hugely popular band who's played the stages of Glastonbury as well as playing all around East Anglia. And we chat to the director of a brilliant, relatively new comedy club in Ipswich, who have a very special night planned for later this week. And as always, some of the region's top theatre shows you won't want to miss. On Thursday, the 21st of August, there is a fantastic night planned. It's a comedy fundraiser and it's organised by the Gifted Melon Comedy Club at the Thomas Wolsey in Ipswich. And joining me now is Tim Saint. Tim is one of the directors and founders of the club. So welcome, Tim. Lovely to be talking to you today. Tell us more about this. First of all, tell us more about the comedy club, because I've not come across them before, and it's a great name. Now I've come across them, I will never forget that name.
Thanks, Stephanie. Thanks very much for having me. So Gifted Melon Comedy is a monthly comedy club that runs third Thursday of every month at the Thomas Wolsey pub in Ipswich. We've been running since February last year. We get about 40 or 50 people in one of the function rooms up there. We bring all kinds of comics from across the UK to perform, and tickets are only a £5. I still challenge anyone to find a better night out in Ipswich for just £5. We've got off to an absolute brilliant first year. We've had all levels of comics, from TV comics down to people just starting out at the club, and it really is a brilliant night out. Thomas Wolsey is a perfect venue for it. There's something that seems great about doing comedy in a pub that's been in Ipswich since the 1600s. You know, it just adds to the atmosphere of it all. It's an absolutely cracking night, and it's run by myself. I'm an Ipswich-based comedian, as is my friend Alex Frumuller, and we got given the opportunity to start running this comedy club. Couldn't come up with a name, and Alex came round mine for a barbecue one day. Alex is big on Japanese culture, and I opened the front door, and he was just stood there with a melon. And he went, "Tim, I've got you a melon." I'm like, "Right, okay, great. A melon, fantastic." I went, "Why is that?" He goes, "Oh, in Japanese culture, it's good manners to bring a melon when you visit someone's house."
I didn't know that.
So when we were bouncing around names for the comedy club, he goes, "Whatever happened to that melon?" I was like, "Oh, I don't really like melon, Alex." So I gave it to someone else. So in mine and Alex's obscure mind, this melon is still being gifted around.
I love that idea. Maybe a little shriveled by now, but still being gifted.
Yeah, it's still being gifted. So that's how we came up with the name Gifted Melon Comedy. And it also gave us a nice hook for our night. So each night we give away a melon to an audience member.
Of course you do.
Yeah, and we have a lot of interactivity and a lot of fun around that. And we still think we're the only comedy club that we know of where an audience member gets gifted a melon.
I think you're probably quite safe in that assumption there, Tim.
Exactly.
Tell me about Thursday's event, because you've got no less than 7 different comedians going to be on stage. So tell me about each of them.
Right, so we've got an absolutely fantastic lineup this week. We put the shout out on various comedy forums that we were doing this fundraiser for Cancer Support Suffolk, which is a great local charity. We like to do a charity show once a year. And Ben Briggs is a full-time professional comedian doing the whole UK circuit. He raised his hand and said, "We'd love to come along." Opening the show, we've got Julia Eckhoff, who recently won Norwich Comedian of the Year.
Wow.
So she's going to come along and open the show, do a really nice 15-minute set. And then we've got a couple of great comics in the middle as well, who are comics who me and Alex know, who we just think are going to do absolutely brilliantly. And Aaron Hood, who is a slightly alternative comic. The moment he found out with his fundraiser for Cancer Support Suffolk, he goes, "You have to have me on this bill. It's an incredibly important charity to me. I want to be part of this." So we've got various ranges of comedians. Like you've got Julia, who she's starting to make big waves at the moment. You won't have heard of her yet, but you will have heard of her. Then you've got Ben Briggs closing the show, who's been doing the circuit and is really popular and everything in between. Yeah. And then myself, I host the show as MC, and me and Alex do a little bit of a double act to give away the melon as well. But these are proper circuit comedians who, if you're on a night out in London, for example, you'd be paying £20 to see a club night like this, whereas we're saying £5 plus a donation to the charity. And what's really interesting is we always pre-sell tickets at the previous show, and people were picking their donations as we pre-sold tickets last month for Cancer Support Suffolk. And just off a very few amount of ticket sales, we've already raised £80 from doing almost nothing.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah, and that's where the starter is. And Damon, who runs the Thomas Wolsey pub, he's really supportive as well. But he said, Oh, what we'll do is on the night, we'll put on each of the bars, we'll put a QR code so people can donate as well. So even if people aren't upstairs at the comedy, Damon and the team at the Thomas Wolsey are going to be encouraging people to donate. So I just hope we raise, a fairly decent amount of money and people can come along and have a great laugh as well.
Oh, that's such a great thing to do for any charity. But Cancer Support Suffolk is a local charity. They're supporting people right here in Suffolk who are living with a cancer diagnosis. So well done to you for actually having the initiative and putting this on, Tim. I know it means the world to the charity. They're absolutely thrilled to be your chosen charity for this. I can't believe the tickets are only £5. That's a complete bargain. How can we get hold of them?
The best thing to do is we have a ticket site. So if you just Google Gifted Melon Comedy Joke Pit, then that will bring up the link and you can get your tickets there. And it's quite simple. When you go on, it just says buy a ticket, £5 plus donation. You put in whatever donation you want. If you're really rich, put in £100. if you're not really rich, put in £2.50. It really is give what you want. Some people have been so generous in that, technically so far they've paid £30 for a ticket because they've said that's what we want to do. But I think if you open up the donation, it doesn't shut it off to anyone, does it? Not everyone can afford 10, 15, £20 donation, but if they give £2, that's enough. It all helps, doesn't it?
It certainly does. Oh, that's brilliant. I hope you have an amazing night. I'm going to be checking my calendar now and thinking, right, I need to get my tickets booked for this. It sounds really good. And please keep in touch with us because I'd love to know when you've got other comedy nights and we can chat to you then. That would be brilliant. And just give the comedians a shout out because I always think it's the hardest job in the world, stand-up comedy. I take my hat off to it. I love to watch it, but I think it's absolutely terrifying to perform. I would never do it myself. So well done, Tim. And it's been a pleasure to talk to you today.
Thank you very much.
Well, I hop in my drop top, baby. We'll go cruising around, gonna tear up the town.
The One Big Multicultural Festival is in its 13th year and it's coming up on the rails now very fast. It's on Sunday the 31st of August from 12 noon in Alexandra Park in Ipswich. And one of the acts has lots of musical entertainment on stage all afternoon, but one of the acts gets invited back year after year because he has a huge following and he always whips up the crowd to a frenzy. And I'm delighted he's talking to me now. That's Josh Locke and his Lockabillys. Josh, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Steph.
You've been such a great supporter of this festival. Have you any idea how many years you've been playing it? It's in its 13th year. I'm not sure whether you've done every single one, but you've certainly done plenty of them.
Crikey. We've been a band for 10 years, and I think we've probably done it 5 times, I think.
Yeah, I think at least.
I expect, anyway.
And it's always gone down a complete storm. Just if people have been under a rock and they don't know who Josh Locke and the Lockabillys are, just describe your music for us.
It's just good old-fashioned rock and roll for the modern audience, really. We like to keep it fun and dancey and keep it moving and get people moving around. But it's not too difficult, not too complex. Don't have to think about it. Just get up and have a dance. That's what we're for, really.
Yeah, it's real high energy stuff, though, isn't it? And I mean, when I talk about energy, I'm talking about you guys on the stage. Yeah, we're rocking out in the audience, but you are absolutely putting 125% into every single song you do.
I think if you don't do that, then how can you expect the audience to have a good time, really? Because me and the band, we're all music teachers as well, and we love the Multicultural Fest because a lot of the time, so our students come along to watch it because there's no age limit and it's just anybody can come, and it's the kind of thing of put your money where your mouth is. If you want people to have fun and have a dance, it's a transaction. You've got to show them what it means to have a good time, really. And if you're not having a good time, why would they have a good time? And especially for our students that, sometimes it might be the first gig they ever go to or the first time they've ever seen us perform. And if we're constantly saying, you've got to get up there, you've got to give it your all, and we're up there looking bored, then it would make us look like hypocrites.
There is that. That's very, very true, Josh, definitely. And that's interesting. But you know what? The number of times we've spoken and I never knew that you were a music teacher. How have I missed that all this time?
See, it's not something I shout about all the time, but it's one of my sort of more proud things because I just love being able to say that I was part of somebody's musical journey growing up or at any age, really, because I've got students all the way up to past 60. It's nice to sort of have that feeling of I had lots of great people involved in my musical journey sort of growing up, and it's nice to be able to do that for somebody else, because it's just this constant kind of conveyor belt of transactional, getting people to just be in love with it. If somebody else did that for you, I think you should do it for somebody else,
Most definitely. So who did do that for you? Can you remember when you very first thought, you know what, I want to do what they're doing?
Well, my mum maybe listened to lots of really good music instead of my dad, so that helps, and my big brother. So, without that, I mean, your family is the most important thing, I think, in your musical journey, really, isn't it? Because otherwise, if you're not brought up thinking that, with music around, it's not really in your DNA so fast, is it? But Mark Stewart was my guitar teacher growing up, and he was a big influence on my playing because he's a really good blues player. And yeah, it's just kind of Kev Butcher as well, who was a really great guitar teacher. So yeah, I think it's having those teachers, and they're still doing it, which is great. I mean, I started playing when I was about 10, and Mark was teaching me since I was 10, and Kev was teaching me when I was 16. And so it's, I'm 35 now, and I'm still doing it. Some of my students are 10, some of my students are 5 years old, some of my students are around the same age as me. And it might be they've taken their first steps, or they might have just been doing it for a long time. But it's really nice, especially when you see them on stage or performing, or if they've recorded something and they just show it to you. When you see a kid on stage and they just do a guitar solo that you taught them how to play, and they look for you in the crowd, that is, you can't buy that.
Definitely
sometimes that's better than playing to a crowd of 4,000 people.
Yeah, well, the tables are going to be turned, because Sunday the 31st of August, students will be in the crowd watching you perform, as you say, giving it your all, doing it all there. It's a lovely family-friendly event, so there's going to be people there from all ages, and even people who aren't your students, you're going to be inspiring them. That's a really powerful thing to do. Why, just sort of final question for you, it's a festival which is about cohesion, it's about joining different communities together. Why is it important to you? Why have you supported it for them for the last 5 years?
I think the first Indian meal I ever had was at Bombay Night. So Shami and the team that run Multicultural Festival was one of our first ever forays into multiculturalism, and just sort of seeing the different types of people that you can have in a community, and just realizing that it takes all types to make a great community, and it takes lots of different opinions, lots of different religions, lots of different food, lots of different music to make somewhere exciting to live. And I think that's what Ipswich is good for. I mean, I grew up in Felixstowe, and Felixstowe has been a good multicultural hub, and I think without those influences, life can be a bit plain. And as the Multicultural Festival is nothing. It's definitely not plain. It's definitely fun, and I think it's such a great thing, especially for some of my younger students to come along to that and just realise the wealth of culture that we have just on your back doorstep. So yeah, I really can't recommend it enough.
Oh, bless you. Josh, it's been a pleasure to talk to you, as always. I look forward to seeing you on Sunday the 31st of August in Ipswich in Alexandra Park.
See you then, looking forward to it.
And if you'd like to see Josh Locke and his Lockabillys perform, it's the One Big Multicultural Festival. Is coming up on Sunday the 31st of August. It's in Ipswich Town Centre, behind the college. It's at Alexandra Park, which is IP41NY. It all kicks off from 12 o'clock, goes through till 6 o'clock in the evening. It's a really family-friendly festival, and it's all free, which is wonderful. And there's lots of other things happening as well. There's about 40 different stalls you can look at, both inside and out. There's a children's fun fair. There's also have a go sports events happening as well, and lots of wonderful live entertainment. And as Josh mentioned, some wonderful global foods from all around the world to try too. So I hope you can join us. I'll certainly be there, and we'll look forward to seeing you that Sunday the 31st of August from 12 until 6 in Ipswich Town Centre, the One Big Multicultural Festival from 12 noon in Alexandra Park. And you can find out more on Facebook. Just look up the One Big Multicultural Festival, or look up BSC Multicultural Services. They've both got pages there, and you'll be able to find out more.
But that's a crazy dream. Rip it up, baby. Too hot for me, it seems. I wake up in a sweat, cause I'm too deep in debt. We gotta red up once before we wind up dead.
What's on across Suffolk with Stephanie McIntyre. Sponsored by Ruby Shoes Podcast, your weekly entertainment news podcast. Available from your smart speaker, Apple, Spotify, or you just follow Ruby Shoes Podcast on Facebook and click on the weekly podcast link to listen.
There's a host of great shows on offer across Suffolk's magnificent theatres, and here's just a selection to tempt you. At Southwold and Aldeburgh's summer season of theatre from the 20th to the 30th of August in Southwold, you can see Things We Do for Love by Alan Ayckbourn. Imagine a family house converted into 3 flats. The majority of the action takes place on the ground floor in Barbara's flat, but you also get to see Gilbert's flat and also an upstairs flat which is about to be let to Nikki. Laced with Ayckbourn's wry humour, it tells a story of how anyone can be smitten by love at the most unexpected time. Meanwhile, at the Jubilee Hall in Aldeburgh, it's the hit West End World War II rom-com by Terence Rattigan, While the Sun Shines. On his wedding eve, young Earl Harpenden has put up a drunken American airman he met the night before. When Harpenden's fiancée turns up, the lonely American flirts outrageously. This sparkling rom-com farce shows that even in the darkest of times, there's still love, hope and laughter. For more information of both of those shows, go to act.co.uk. It's now the final week of the Theatre Royal in Bury St Edmunds, Steve and Steph Forever, written by Ian Jarvis. It's an outdoor promenade production in and around the streets of Bury St Edmunds. Steph is impulsive, easily bored, easily distracted, always looking for where the fun is. Steve doesn't like surprises. Batch cooks his lunch for the week and chooses his clothes based on the weather. They meet by chance on a heady summer evening when there's magic in the air, and for all their differences, fall in love before our very eyes. But when you're in your mid-30s with some bad choices behind you and some big milestones ahead, making a choice on who to spend the rest of your life with is easier said than done. If only they could ignore the small print, jump in, let the current take them. Steve and Steph Forever is an immersive and intoxicating love story that will leave you feeling like the world is just a little bit more romantic, like the stars are a little brighter, like anything is possible. It's on until Saturday the 23rd of August. For those final few tickets, go to theatreroyal.org. On Friday the 22nd of August, this time at the Spa Pavilion Theatre in Felixstowe, A Sky Full of Stars. Get ready for an electrifying night of music and magic with Sky Full of Stars, the most authentic tribute to Coldplay. This spectacular live experience doesn't just capture the sound and spirit of one of the world's biggest bands, it makes you part of the show. With LED wristbands lighting up the crowd, the energy of the music surrounds you like never before. Whether you're a lifelong Coldplay fan or just looking for an unforgettable night out, Sky Full of Stars delivers dazzling performances, stunning visuals and an atmosphere that truly brings Coldplay's greatest hits to life. For tickets and more information, go to spapavilion.uk. And finally, on Saturday the 23rd of August at the Key Theatre in Sudbury, What's Wrong with Benny Hill? It's a musical comedy by Mark Carey, music by Kevin Oliver Jones, and it's performed by Mark Carey and Georgie Taylor. So Benny Hill died alone in his Spartan flat in 1992 and he was just 68 and his body was undiscovered for several days. Benny was and has been and still is one of the most successful comedians of all time. When Apollo 11 landed on the moon in 1969, millions watched live on TV. But that evening, many more tuned into The Benny Hill Show. Today, The Benny Hill Show is broadcast regularly in over 100 countries around the world. In Britain, he is effectively being cancelled. What's Wrong with Benny Hill is a brand new comedy that explores the life and legacy of a very peculiar and brilliant comedian. It tells the story of his life and shows why he was considered by many of his peers to be the best. For tickets, go to keysudbury.com. Now, next week on the Ruby Shoes podcast, we're going to take a break. Firstly, for the Classic and Sports Cars by the Bridge event on Bank Holiday Monday, which is all in aid of Cancer Sports Suffolk. If you check out last week's episode, you'll hear me talking to the CEO, Mark Murphy, all about this huge event which is happening for the county on Monday the 25th of August, and we'll be there. Then it's the One Big Multicultural Festival, which we've been talking about today, at the end of that week. So as well as performing on the stage, I'll be working backstage as one of the volunteers, shepherding the performers on and off the stage. So we'll be back with you on Monday the 1st of September. Thanks for listening and look forward to seeing you then. And don't forget, you can always get in touch with us via our Facebook page. We're at Ruby Shoes Podcast. We always love to hear about your forthcoming plays, comedy nights, your Amdram groups, or any kind of show, festival or event in East Anglia, and we can let everybody else know about it too. You can listen again to the Ruby Shoes podcast via Apple, Spotify, or your favourite podcast host. And you can find our podcast links on our Facebook page and follow us there too, of course. And you can also listen to Ruby Shoes now every week on YouTube. Yeah, just type in Ruby Shoes podcast and there will be, and you can see all our past episodes as well. Make sure you have a great week. I'm Steph McIntyre, and we really appreciate you listening to the Ruby Shoes podcast, celebrating all the brilliant things we have when it comes to live theatre and entertainment.